Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our AI in Action series, where leading minds in AI from across the world share their story, success, and advice. AI in Action cuts through the hype and explores the true impact of artificial intelligence in our world today.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Qingqing Ouyang. Qingqing is the Executive VP of Engineering at OJO Labs. Qingqing, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, JP, for having me. I'm very excited to be on the show.
It's our pleasure. We're delighted to have you. Qingqing, let's start with yourself. Can you give us a brief overview of your background in technology, from where you got started and what your journey has been, some of the roles you've held along the way, and take us up to today as the head of the engineering group at OJO?
Yeah, my name is Qingqing. I'm head of engineering at OJO Labs. I went to undergraduate school at Smith College, and with a computer science and mathematics degree, I did go on to University of Wisconsin-Madison for a CS degree, for a master degree in computer science. I actually spent the first half of my professional career as a software engineer. Majority of that experience was at Sun Microsystems. So working at Sun, really, it was a fantastic experience working at Sun. Especially, I was very fortunate to have worked with some of the most talented software engineers who are also very passionate about the craft of software development. Not only that, I was working in the JavaSoft division on the Java Enterprise Edition. So that was a product that really gave careers to generations of engineers. So it was very exciting to work on something that had a huge impact. In 2012, I joined Bazaar Voice as a first-line manager. And Bazaar Voice was a company that's founded and headquartered in Austin, Texas. It provides ratings and reviews platform to a lot of big e-commerce websites. So for example, Walmart.com, Target.com, Sephora.com at the time were customers of Bazaar Voice. And at the Bazaar Voice was my first encounter with big data challenges, since Bazaar Voice hosts so many ratings and reviews for millions of products across so many e-commerce websites. Interestingly, with all that review, to answer the question of, for a given product, for the same product, of all of the reviews across all of the e-commerce website, what are all of the customers are saying about the product was a hard question to answer, because the system was not designed to mine insight out of data. Instead, it's really just storing and serving the content. So the fact that there's a lack of structure in data made it actually very difficult to unleash the power that was locked into that data. It was a great lesson to learn, and I took that lesson with me to be really mindful about how to collect data and how to use them. In 2014, I had the opportunity to join a company called Main Street Hub. So Main Street provides digital marketing as a service for small business. When I joined Main Street, there were hundreds of content writers writing content on a daily basis for small business owners for their social media accounts, for example. So that effort was on a per customer and per social media account basis. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of repetitive work as well. And it's also very hard to tell the quality of the content that we are generating. So this is where I brought in data science to solve a problem of how do we make the content more engaging and actually understand what we're writing. So we use machine learning to generate a lot of content that provided automated responses. And interestingly, with that saved capacity, we're able to free up these content writers to do something that they enjoy more, which is creating a content strategy. So how do you write content? What content are engaging for, let's say, restaurant owners, or maybe even a specific type of restaurant owners? And those strategies that are defined by humans were actually then fed back into our system to use machines to generate even better computer content. So that was my kind of first success I saw in really a tech strategy that benefited from both the machine intelligence and human intelligence. So in 2018, Mainstream was acquired by GoDaddy. So at the time, I decided to look for an opportunity where I can really bring everything I have learned in building technology, really using data to create a successful product. I also really wanted to look for a company that has a really ambitious goal, a meaningful mission, and really believe in higher purpose-driven and passionate people. And this is where I found the founder of OJO Labs. I met founder of OJO Labs, John Berkowitz. When I walked into OJO Labs to interview, literally on the wall, there's this statement that says, empowering people to make better decisions through the fusion of machine and human intelligence. And literally what I was thinking, what I was doing at Main Street Hub and really wanted to do more of. So it almost felt like it was meant to be. So then the rest is history. I've been here for 3 years. When I joined, the engineering team was seven people large, and now we are operating as a 150 engineer organization.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that overview, in particular the details that led you to search for a very specific role after Main Street was acquired by GoDaddy. So I definitely want to spend a bit of time talking about your role now, but before we do that, tell us about OJO Labs. Who are OJO as a business? What is the mission of the organization? And then we can jump into the role that ML and data science plays in achieving that mission.
OJO is a tech-enabled product company with ambition to use machine and human intelligence to deliver a better and more personalized real estate experience. And then why real estate? So real estate is the largest asset class, but also the most resistant to change. Interestingly, with the digital revolution, so many of the human experiences have become easier. The internet, right, with access to information, e-commerce, smartphones, you name it. But despite the massive funding that's currently flowing or have been flowing into prop tech space, simply buying and selling a home is actually now more complicated than it was 20 years ago. So for example, traditional way of buying or iBuying, do you buy before you sell, are all new options that came up during the last 20 years that people have to choose from, the consumers would have to choose from. There are also many innovative and fascinating point solutions, but also added to created a situation where the consumers now has more than 5,000 of financing options to choose from, more than 100,000 real estate brokerages to evaluate, and on top of that, 1.5 million agents vying for their attention. So there really aren't any declared overall winners in this space that actually make the home buying experiences easier. So that's why, so OJO recognized that the need for consumers are actually different, right? Faced with an exorbitant amount of the options available nowadays, making the right decisions is actually becoming more difficult, it's overwhelming. So our goal, OJO's goal, is to serve what we call 100 out of 100. So what that means is that for every 100 consumers coming to OJO, we really want to provide a path to every single one of them. So what that means is, you know, the way that we think about this is we're building a really guided marketplace for the home journey, right? It requires us to understand the entire landscape, right? Understanding all of the options and solutions out there, but also require us to understand what the needs of the consumers are and really match them and guide them, right, to the right solution at the right time, and ultimately create a much better and easier experiences in their home, either buying or selling journey. So that's a kind of an overview of what OJO does and why that's important to us.
Super helpful. So following on from that, let's focus now on the role of AI. So can you give us some insight into how you and the team at OJO utilize machine learning and data science to achieve the project goals and objectives that you're working on?
The role of data science and machine learning, I would say we have a way of solving problem using machine learning. It's almost everywhere in how we look at both in our business and in our product experiences. And I would categorize this as like maybe two buckets of problems that we solve. One is automation, right? Solving for efficiency in our business. The other one is what we call tech-enabled people. It's really powering humans. So what we want to do is using machine learning to solve for really provide a higher quality of services. So for example, in our recommendation engine, we recommend similar listings for users to browse, like the way that those are some of the classic machine learning problems that we have. We have created image models that detecting features of homes from listing photos, so that allow people to search right in a more effective way. So for example, you can search on whether your house has a pool or not, where are all of the houses with stone countertops in this neighborhood. We also have optimizations built in for how we deliver content to the consumers, finding the best way to engage with consumers. So there are a ton of places where a lot of the classic machine learning problem that we use in our conversation engine, for example, we have both reactive and proactive conversations with our user. We also have problems, I would say, probably more specific to our space, how we optimize and really how we operate a better guided experience for consumers in this marketplace. So for example, one thing that's really important for us is to be able to match provide to the consumers, right? So right now we're very focused on making sure that we have good agent matching for our consumers, understanding what consumers do, understanding what the agent is good at is actually a really interesting machine learning problem to provide a better match so that you have a better experience. We also operate a call center in St. Lucia, so really providing a phone support for consumers who prefer to talk to a person, right? In that, we have internal tooling that is backed by machine learning as well. For example, one of the things that we solve for is the task prioritization, right? So identifying and scheduling the next best action to help the consumer to progress, right? From one state to another throughout their journey. And we gave that prioritization to our call center employees so that they know where to point to the consumers as well. We provide a lot of agent insights, really empowering the agents with market analysis, consumer search profiles so that they can better help the consumers as well. So yeah, they're basically, I can go on and on. They're just basically, you can find the discipline and the way that we solve problems using machine learning almost every corner turn here at OJO.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
So, Qingqing, looking at your role then, can you give us a little bit of insight into what's involved as the head of engineering for the whole group and the scale of the team, the type of project management, and walk us through a typical project from start to finish and share your involvement?
This is a very ambitious undertaking. So we really can't afford to be all over the place, but instead, I think there's three aspects of how to empower our data science team to be successful and how we made it work, right? So that we gradually, iteratively developed the muscle in every corner of OJO engineering. The first is really to agree that we need to have a discipline of iterating. So first and foremost, we really don't use, as much as I talk about machine learning, we actually don't use machine learning or AI for the sake of it. Instead, we really want to provide value to our consumer, no matter how intellectually fascinating a problem may be. We don't do it without first validating that it actually resonates, right, with our consumers. So it really requires us to hire data scientists who are good data scientists, but also are very curious about the real estate business and really empathetic, right, to our consumers. So that's one aspect of it. Secondly, we really create an environment that empower our data scientists. We involve the data scientists as early as possible in our product delivery phase and figure out a way to really validate, together with the help of the data scientists, to validate and prove out a feature. A lot of times we actually provide a more heuristic approach first, right? We're not machine learning first. But really importantly here that I want to stress is the reason we involve data science early in this process is that they understand the problem space, but also they give input even though we're taking a heuristic approach, while they are developing the feature, we actually collect the right data up front. So that's because of data science in the early involvement. So that really gave us an unfair advantage later on when heuristic approach runs its course and we want to optimize, we want to do even better with a machine learning approach, we now have the right data and right amount of data. So that iterative approach allowed us to really make progress, right? Every step is built on the previous steps and allow data science to be very focused in this problem space and constantly having the data to validate whether we're solving the problem the best way. The last aspect of this is really providing support for our data scientists to make their job easier. So one of our, what I call secret weapon at OJO is we have 30 to 40 AI trainers in St. Lucia. So that team basically provides capacity to label data to help us train models. Every single data scientist I worked with, it's basically their dream come true, right? They can have the AITs manually label the data so we can have a really quick turnaround on training models. So for example, during 2020, our AIT team manually labeled 16 million images. That really allowed us to develop a training set, the data set for various classification and segmentation tasks. And the image models that are trained on these data sets are currently labeled north of 1 million listing images on a daily basis. So those images basically are the incoming listing photos, right, from the new listings throughout the United States on a daily basis. But more importantly, for this capacity, we provide tooling to label these data, but more importantly, we have developed a hiring process for these AI trainers. We created training for them, and there's process that we develop over time to provide feedback, right, to the way they label the data. Because as I mentioned, my experiences at Bazaar, the quality of data is just as important, if not even more important than the quantity, right, of data. So really operating this team and providing that capacity to our data scientists has really expedited a lot of our turnaround, right, on the problem that we can solve.
Qingqing, you touched on it there about the team that you've built, and I want to finish on that. So my final question to you is, with the success OJO is having and the unique nature of what you do, when you look ahead for the rest of the year into 2022, what opportunities are there going to be for people who are interested in this to potentially join OJO? What types of roles and what do you look for as you're building your team?
To simply answer the question, we are looking for every role in engineering. So as far as data science is concerned, data scientists for sure, machine learning engineers, probably a lot of data engineers. As I mentioned before, we're at 150 now. That likely will go up by at least another 60 in a short amount of time. And let me explain a little bit on what's driving this growth and why hiring the people and what type of problem that they will be working on. So OJO acquired a company called Movoto mid last year. And Movoto is one of the largest real estate portals in the United States. I think we're number 4 or number 5. And on a monthly basis, we are seeing 34 million users coming to movoto.com. And OJO backend has a event-driven system that's capturing all of the user signals. And even before the Movoto integration, tech integration with us, we're generating more north of 100 million events on a monthly basis. We are actually currently working on integrating the Movoto events into our system a lot. So that's a huge amount of user signal to help us understand, right, what it is that the consumer is looking for. And that creates a lot of opportunities for us to make better matching, providing them better services. We also have ongoing understanding, more and more understanding of the product and services agents on the ground. So that really provide a better guided experience and better matching for the consumers and the services that we believe they would need at any given time. So in order to execute on that vision, one of the things, so of all of the things I talked about in our discipline, we need to do more of that. And we also need, more importantly, is to scale that. So what we want to work on is increase our ability to run experiment, right? Run more experiment concurrently, and processing data, democratize the insights, right? To put that insight in how we run the business, and more importantly, in our product experiences, to make the consumer journey even easier, and then iterate on top of that. So relentlessly working on finding the right options for every consumers to achieve really our mission of serving 100 out of 100, and that really truly enable us to level the playing field for all home buyers and sellers is really important. So what I'm looking for, the talent I'm looking for, so I think I talk a lot about passionate people. So for us, because we have this ambitious goal and this really important mission that we are trying to get to, it's really important for us to hire people who believe in our mission, understand how hard it is to solve this problem, but be committed, right, to solve that problem. It's specific. We're actually hiring globally. We have employees in the U.S., Latin America, India, and Canada. So there's a lot of opportunities to work on this mission and help us really find a good path and do something that nobody else has solved before in the real estate industry.
Sounds fun. It really does. Qingqing, thank you so much for sharing the details. A really unique environment that you've built. And I'm sure for anyone listening who wants to work in cool and interesting data sets, OJO sounds like a very appealing place to be indeed. So thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you coming on, and we wish you and everyone at OJO Labs the best of luck in the year ahead.
Yes, of course. It was very nice meeting you. Thank you for having me, JP.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.